Well, good evening. Joanne, it's always good to see you here this evening. Joanne's our youngest member of our community. And it's always a treasure to have her here. Yeah, you're welcome. We've been hearing a lot during this Lent in my mind about recognizing how present the Lord is to us and how in His presence it's so good for us to get caught up in it and to realize how small we are in it. One of my favorite places in the whole world I got to go through this morning, which is on my family farm. And it's like these mountains just roll and roll and roll like this, and then on the sides they roll like this. And it's like, have you ever made your bed? Yes, is the answer. Okay, good. And you have it tucked in where your feet are, right? But if you get to the head of the bed, it's like this, and it's just waves and waves. It's like the Lord did that from where I was standing, And then He went over to the other side, and He did the same thing with the mountains on this side. And then He went over here, and He did the same thing over there. And then you just stand there for like 1 minute, and you realize how tiny I am compared to these huge mountains, the tallness of the skies. I heard the other day that every grain of sand that there are 2 stars. How small does that make you feel? And yeah, exactly. Thanks, Joanne. See, the eldest here, the wisest as well, right? But that's the point. It's like this tiny. And so today's gospel obviously rings that clear to us of recognizing how in our smallness, we need to be totally united to Jesus. And it's in that smallness, it's in that humility that we can be present to the Lord. That's how He can be present to us. And it's when we exalt ourselves that's when we kind of lose that disconnect with the reality of things, of how small we are. And so, what is sin? It's those moments where we think we're the center of the universe, like everything revolves around us, and we get too big for our britches, as they used to say. And that's why in the first reading today, there's that invitation of changing, of metanoia, of like changing our direction. And so it's good for us to ask ourselves, where have we gotten bigger than our britches? And how can we take that to the Lord in confession? Knowing that we're just these little people here in the eyes and in the creation, but also it's in our littleness that God can then guide us, love us, and cherish us. And so it's interesting, right? We all have something super in common. You imagine how tiny we were in our mother's womb? Imagine how small we were there? I don't know if God thinks like this, at least I think of it a little bit like this. Like, I bet that's when He loved us so much, like, because He just got to be with us. You know what I mean? We were so tiny, and we were so in need. And it's good for us to go back to that, to realize, like, we haven't changed. Like, we're so in need of God. Our first few years, you just watch any little kid, and you realize how in need they are. The other day, I got to see my little Miriam. I haven't seen Miriam since I baptized her in, like, November. And she's this little girl, and she's like 6 months old. And when she was being held by my sister, who's her mom, and that's a tough thing. Like, you know what I mean? Baby with mom, uncle, ugly, coming in, not a good combination. But I was cheating because she came to me because I was wearing this penguin uniform, and she got really fascinated by it. But underneath, I had a relic of Maria Goretti, and she felt that. And so all she wanted to do for like the next hour was just lay on my chest and be like this. And that's who she was named for. And it's so cool to see just the littleness of these little ones and realize that's all we need to be in the arms of our Father. And know that our name and the littleness of who we are is all God wants to cherish. And so anything that makes us too big and too whatever, we just give that over to God, because it's in our littleness where God can do His greatness.